Hello everyone, myself Dr. Sonam Gupta, working as a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today I am going to discuss a complex topic in software project management, which is identification of goals in SPM. Now, before coming to identification of the goals, we must know that what goals or objectives, how they are measurable. We can say that the objectives, they should be SMART. SMART is an abbreviation for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time constrained. Specific, that is concrete and well defined. Measurable, which is satisfaction of the objective, which can be objectively judged. Achievable, which is it is within the power of the individual or group connected to meet the target. Relevant, the objective, it must be relevant to the true purpose of the project. And time constraint, there is defined point in time by which the objective it should be achieved. Now, goals and objectives. So, there are various ways of identifying the goals or the objectives. There are steps along the way to achieve the objective, and informally, if we talk about in a sentence, then we can say objective X can be achieved if following goals all are achieved. Then we can say that our objective is achieved. Now, often a goal, it can be allocated to an individual also, and that individual, it is having the capability to achieve that goal, but not the objective on their own, because objective, it is having multiple goals. So, objective, it is the user satisfaction with the software product. Analyst goal, accurate requirements are there, and developer goals, that is the software is reliable. Now, how we are going to measure the effectiveness? So, how do we know that the goal or the objective, it has been achieved? So, we can have a practical test for it, like if we are having a repetitive business from the same customer, they buy the same product from us again and again. They are giving us different type of orders again and again. So, that means we were able to achieve that objective. So, number of complaints, if they are also low, then we can also say that we had achieved that particular objective. We are having stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? These are the peoples who have a stake or who are having an interest in the project. We can also say that who are directly or indirectly affecting the project. So, we can say they could be the users, the clients or developers or the implementers. What can be they? They can be within the project team. They can be outside the project team, but within the same organization. They can be from both outside the project team or the organization. So, for the business cases, benefits of the delivered project, it must outweigh the cost. Like cost, what the cost will include? Cost will include the development or the operations. Now, benefits, they can be in the two ways, like quantifiable and non-quantifiable. We are having a project control cycle. In the project control cycle, we are having a real world. From the real world, we are collecting the data, that is data collection. Then data processing is done in it. From there, making the decisions, implementation, modeling and defining the project. So, if this cycle continues, it will have the management control. So, for the management control, what is the data? It is the raw detail, like 6,000 documents which were processed at suppose location X. Information, it is the data which is processed to produce something which is meaningful and useful, like productivity is 100 documents per day. Now, what is the comparison between objectives or the goals? Like we will not meet the target of processing all the documents for a particular amount of time. Management control, we are having process modeling for it. So, it is working out the probable outcomes of various decisions. Like if we employ 2 or more staffs at location X, then how quickly can we get the documents processed? This is the modeling. Implementation, carrying out the remedial actions that have been decided upon for it. So, what are the stepwise aspirations for it? Practicality, tries to answer the question, what do I do now? Scalability, it is useful for small project as well as for the larger projects. The range of application, to how much target audience that particular is to be defined. Accepted techniques, what are the techniques which is borrowed from any other software, any other developer. So what are those? So this is the stepwise overview of it, like selecting the projects, it is a 0th step. Identifying the project objectives, then identifying the project infrastructure. Review, then analysis of the project characteristics, identifying the product and its various activities, estimating the effort for each activity, identifying the activity risks. So these are all the stepwise project planning that we had discussed in earlier lectures as well. So for this, each and every activity, some aspiration is to be done. Now let's see a project scenario. We are having a hardware or a software company, and language can be of any choice. Now teams are selected for individual projects, and it has been found that there is some friction between the team members. Now, to remove or resolve that particular friction, HR suggested to do some psychometric testing. Now, software packages are there, which is used to test the staff. Visual Basic suggested it as a vehicle for the implementation, and usability, no doubt, it is important to carry out the decisions. Now, if we talk about step 1, which is establish of the project scope and the objectives. So, it will identify the objectives and measures of the effectiveness. Now, how do we know if we have succeeded in it? Establish a project authority, that is, identify who will be the boss of the project. Identify all stakeholders in the project that are of the interest, like who will be affected and who are those who will be involved in those projects. Then modify any requirement, any review, any feedback or objectives in the light of the stakeholders. So, do we need to do the things to win over the stakeholders? What all things are required? How we are going to publicize our plan? This is required. Now, then we need to establish what mode of communication will be there with all the parties, how we are going to be in contact, whether we are going to be virtual, whether the meetings will be done at the client side or at the developer side. This needs to be decided as well. So, project authority, it should be a project manager rather than the HR manager, because what the project manager is doing, that HR cannot do. Stakeholders, so project team members to complete online questionnaire like concern about the results and all. Then a revision to the objectives will be made, like providing feedback to the team members on the results. Then establish the project infrastructure. Establish the link between the project and any other strategic plan. Like, why did they want the project? Why we are doing the project? Why the customer is requiring the project? Identifying the installation standards and the procedures that will be required to install that particular project. So, what standards we need to follow? This is the important question for it, and we need to identify it. Then, identify project team structure, like where I am going to fit in, what will be my role. Then, analysis of the project characteristics, like first and the foremost is to identify that whether the project we are developing, it is a objective based or a product based. That is the most important question, and it needs to be answered for that. Analysis of other project characteristics, like the quality, what is different about this project. There are many projects in the market. Why this project will stand out from other projects? After that, we need to identify the high level project risk, like what could go wrong, what can we do to stop it. So, we need to identify the risk also, where the project may lack, what are the things that we can do primarily so that we are able to overcome all those risks. So, that also needs to be identified. Take into account user requirements concerning about the implementation. Select the general life cycle approach, like which life cycle approach we are going to use, like waterfall, incremental, prototypes, agile, extreme programming. So, which life cycle approach we are going to use for it. Then, we need to review the overall resource estimates. like whatever we had done till now, is it going to increase the cost of my project? How much cost is going to be increased? How many risks are going to be identified? So this also needs to be done. So we need to identify whether the project is objective or product based. Like, come upon the some risk. What can be the risk? Like some team members, they worried about the implementations. Like what can be the implication that the project is not going to be completed, so they are not ready to operate. So about do not cooperate, they are not ready to cooperate about how this particular project is going to be finished. So project managers unwilling to try out the applications. Developers, they are not familiar with the features of VB which had been selected. Which model we are going to use? Like evolutionary. So for this, we need to identify and describe the project products and what do we have to produce. Like usability testing, we had to basically create a PBS, which is a product breakdown structure. Usability study, and this study is divided further into 4 parts, like selecting subjects, testing the arrangements, testing the results, after that changing the request. Finally, then testing arrangements can further be divided, like booked PC, questionnaire design, completed questionnaire analysis report. So thereby we need to identify the PBS, that is the product that is going to be developed, and whole this PBS is going to help further. So a product, it is a result of an activity. When it will be completed, a product will be delivered. It can be a physical thing like an installed PC. It can be a document like a logical data structure. It can be a person like a trained user, or we can have a new version of the old product like updated software. So what can not be the products? Activities like training, it is not a part of the product. Interviews, that is the events, they are also not the part of the product. Resources, the actors, they are exceptions to it, but they are not the part of the product. They are used to make this particular product, but they are not the product. So we can say that the products, they can be deliverable or the intermediates. So for that we need a PD, that is a product description. Product description carries out a product identity, like description, what is it, derivation, on which it is based on, composition, what it contains, the format of that particular product, the standards that product is following, the quality criteria. Now we are having a document generic or the product flows. So this is how it is going to do. Testing plan, again the same thing. Selecting subjects, questionnaire, booked machine. Then completed questionnaire, it will be having subjects, questionnaire and the booked machine, and we are testing the results for all these 3 things. Then the report will be analyzed and the change request will be done to it. We recognize the product instances, the PBS, which is the product breakdown structure, and the product functionality design. They will probably have identified generic products like the software modules, and we can divide it into various module parts also, like module A, module B. Several modules can be there throughout the product, but in many cases we have to be left with later, and that is the more detailed planning. Next is a product, we need to produce ideal activity network. So we need to identify the activities which are required to create each product. Then more than one activity can be needed to create a single product, like we can have the verb or the noun which is in the WBS, which we have discussed in earlier lectures. So we can then create an activity network. So this is an ideal activity network, like testing needs to be done beforehand, and then selecting the subject, designing the questionnaire, book machine, they can go all hand in hand. Based on this, the test will be conducted, results will be analyzed, and the changes will be taken care of. Now at every point we need to have a checkpoint. Now what is the advantage of having a checkpoint? Advantage of having a checkpoint, we all know that if my project fails at this particular time, that I do have to traverse till that particular last checkpoint only. I do not have to start over again and again. So that is the basic advantage of having a checkpoint. Then we carry out the bottom-up estimate and we distinguish carefully between the effort and the elapsed time. Then on the basis of it, we revise the plan to create the controllable activities so that the product can be delivered within the particular time frame. So for that, we break up the long activities into various smaller activities, and then we bundle up the shorter activities to create that particular checklist. After in the sixth step, we need to identify the activity risk. So for that, we identify and quantify the risk for the activities. So if a risk occurs, then what will be the extent of the damage that is going to be done? It is measured in the time lost or the money. So it is to be likelihood if that particular risk is occurring. There are two ways to reduce it, like risk reduction, the activity to stop the risk occurring, what can be done, and the contingency, the action if the risk does occur, then what action we need to follow for it. After that, we need to adjust the overall plans and estimates to take account of the risk. Like example, we need to add new activities which will reduce the risk associated with other activities like training, pilot trials, information gatherings, etc. At the seventh step, we need to allocate the resources. We had done all the part. Now finally, we need to allocate the resources to it. So we need to identify and allocate the resources to the activities. Resources can be anything, the hardware, the software, the person who are involved in it. So that can be the anything. Then we need to revise the plan and estimate to take into account the resource constraint. Like for example, after a particular time, the staff is not available. There may be festivals coming or many of the staff is on leave. Then how that particular project is going to be handled? There are various non-project activities are also there. How these particular activities are going to be handled? Who are the persons responsible to carry out all these activities? So for that, we can have a Gantt chart. In the Gantt chart, we can on the y-axis, we can have all the activities like plan testing, selecting the subjects, designing the questionnaire, booking the machine, conducting the test, analysis of the results and the draft changes. Now as we can see over here, all the time frame is fixed, and if any particular activity is lapsed, then we can show over this particular Gantt chart also. So everything is fixed over here, and if the activity is not completed within that particular time period, then what we can do? We can easily see that where that particular assignment is being missing over it. Step 8, it is reviewing and publicizing of the plan. So according to the agreement, the document plan and obtaining the agreement for it. We review the quality aspects of the project plan. What were the quality aspects? Have all those aspects being followed or not? What are the reliability conditions for it? All these will be taken care of, and then the document will be planned and agreement will be taken from the customer. And finally, step 9 and 10, we need to execute the plan and create the lower level plans for it. So if one module is completed, we need to carry out for another module, another module, another module. And this cycle will keep on repeating. So here we had seen how we are going to make a goal, how the goals are achievable or not. We are going to see how objectives are taken. See, it is one simple goal. If I am able to complete one goal to second goal to third goal, that means I am going to complete a particular objective. And here what we learned is the most important thing is a goal can be achieved by an individual also. We can give a simple module to a particular person or to a single developer that okay, you need to complete this module. So that can also be done. Now that all depends on the extent of the work that we are having. If the module can be done by a single person, then the manager will decide, because who is the authority? Authority is a project manager. Now the project manager can decide ki, okay, you can do this particular goal or this module single handedly. So that depends on the experience, the project manager, the scenario, the type of the module also, how much big is the project. So based on all these things, the objectives and the goals can be identified, resulting in the successful project. Thank you.